Who's joining us here today? Hello, brokerage owners. Be sure and chime in. Let us know where you're joining us from today. We have another really awesome session. Remember, today is Wealthy Winning Wednesday. And our topic is all about winning because we are driving profits, driving the bottom line, and winning our business. Woohoo! Who is excited to get started today? Okay, let's start with our slide presentation. Oh, I see a few people jumping in. Okay, great. Welcome, everybody. Our topic today is Module 3 from Drive Profits to the Max, Accelerate Your Real Estate Brokerage, and Push the Needle. That's right, we're not just moving the needle, because if you're moving the needle, it could be moving forward or back, right? And we're not going back. So we're pushing the needle forward. We are intentionally and purposefully moving forward. We're growing, we're building, we're scaling our business. And who's ready to work on their business today instead of just in your business? Okay, ready? Let's get started. Oh, Irene, good morning from Colorado Springs. Good morning. Welcome and thank you for joining us there in lovely Denver. Welcome to everybody who's joining us today, whether you're joining via live webinar, replay webinar, telephone, or your device on the go. We thank you for being here today, and we really encourage you to continue taking time out of your business every single week, at least 2 hours a week to work on your business instead of in your business. Because if you're busy working in your business, what's going to happen is you're going to have your head down, be working hard, and the competition is going to zoom right past you. That's right. Change is going to happen. The industry is changing right now. And technology is going to zoom right by you, and then you're going to look up and wonder what happened when you're so far behind. So we want to work on the business, stay in front, and be in front of the curve. Ladies and gentlemen, start your engines. It's time to rev up for another great session today. Drive Profits to the Max is one of our 3 MasterClass series. We have Scale Up Your Brokerage. We have Be the Boss and Dominate Your Market, which is all about innovation. And then we have Drive Profits to the Max, which is this session that we're currently on. We're learning how to maximize profits. And where does that start? That starts strong with your custom dashboard. I know we talked about this last week and the week before, but it's so important to understand that our dashboard is an indication of where we're going and the health of our business, the financial health. And it gives us all those important metrics that we need to know to stay on track. Are we on track? Are we going in the right direction? Right? So dashboard, really important. A little bit about our company, MBA Broker Consultants. We have a business academy, which is our online membership program. We have consultations available for brokerage owners. We help you with your business plans, workshops, retreats. We also offer keynote presentations. All of those things needed to help you as a brokerage owner maximize profits, increase that bottom line, and continue growing. Don't just play the game, change it. Today is session number 3, which is planning for business growth. Now in session 1, or should I say module 1, we went over the SWOT analysis: strengths, weakness, opportunities, threats. Now, I hope everybody had the opportunity to go through that on your own, sit down and look at your business and really analyze, ask yourself those questions that were in the handout. about your business? What are your strengths that you can capitalize on? What are your weaknesses that you need to supplement with other sources? How about market opportunities that you should seize? Or what about those threats that you should try to minimize or avoid or neutralize? So go ahead and let us know in the chat if you are able to go through the SWOT analysis and really take a hard look at your business. I'll be interested in finding out if you had a chance to go through that yet, or if not, if you're going to be planning to do that in the near future. Now, module number 2 was about operational management. That's all those things that happen behind the scenes. It's like peeking under the hood of the car, and we don't always see those things visible until something goes wrong and there's a breakdown. But the engine that keeps the motor running, that keeps the engine purring, those are the really important things happening behind the scenes, and those are going to set the foundation for how big we can grow and when. And that was module number 2. And then we have module number 3, which is today, which is business planning for growth. So today we're going to learn about strategic plans, business plans, and a few other things as well. A little bit about me. I think you already know all about me, so I won't spend a lot of time on this slide, but a lot of the concepts that I'm teaching today are advanced concepts based on MBA programs. And also today we are talking about the AASBC program, which is a certified small business consultant. And I'll be using many of the concepts that I learned as part of that program as well to teach you today. Things that have helped me grow my business and other brokerage owners, and things that you can learn and grow from as well. So in today's Rev Up, that's our fancy word for agenda, we have strategic plan, which we'll spend the bulk of our time today on a strategic plan. We have a business plan that we'll touch on. And then we have execution, because all the plans in the world mean nothing if we don't take action, execute, put them into practice. And then we'll also talk about very briefly the strategic alliances and discuss vertical integration as part of your strategic plan. You have today a workbook. Let me go ahead and upload that right now. Download. Okay, there it is. It's just called 3. But it's module 3 for Drive Profits to the Max. And we'll be working from this workbook today, or should I say worksheet. It's part of the big workbook with all the modules together. And that will include the key points from today's module, as well as a self-analysis for you to be able to analyze your business yourself, or you can consult with us and we will go through that process with you. And last but not least, we have great books and resources. We're going to have 2 books that we recommend on strategic planning for you today. Strategic planning for growth. Who's ready to get started? All right, awesome. Let's keep going here. We're on the road to success. But remember, whichever road you're on, your direction determines your destination. So if you're going to the right, that's where you're going to end up. If you're going to the left, that's where you're going to end up. We can be going 100 miles an hour, but if we don't know our direction, we're not going to get to our destination. And it's so important to have those guidelines along the way. Now, just a moment ago, I was sharing about change in our industry, tech trends, right? Those are huge. The realtor associations and the other real estate professional organizations, they are changing. They're moving forward. What about franchises and big brokerages and third-party websites and consumer sites. All of those things are changing the landscape of our industry, and we need to make sure that our future plan is aligned with the future of the industry, because we don't want to be left behind. And we know that in business, there's one thing that's certain, and that is change. And Dr. Weinberger says one thing that is certain about change is certain. So no matter what happens, change will be happening in the future, in our business, in our industry, in our marketplace. And it's up to us to make sure that we stay not just with the competition or keeping up with them, but our goal is to differentiate ourselves and push ahead of our competitors. And how important is that? That is one of the most important things that will keep our fuel burning, that will keep us moving ahead, zooming forward. All right, we're going to take a look at our first topic today, which is strategic planning, and we'll spend most of our time talking about strategic planning. And why do we talk about it? Because the business has to have a direction to grow. Like we said earlier, if you're moving and you're making sales and you're doing great in your business, that's all well, but what direction are you going in? Are you spinning your wheels, or are you moving forward? So it's important to keep moving forward towards the future. Now, if you have your file sharing here, it's if you were able to download it, if you could please type into the chat and just let me know that you're able to download the worksheet. That way I'll know that everybody can follow along with the worksheet. It's just called 3. We abbreviated it today. We're really short. Okay, what does the strategic plan do for your business? Well, first of all, it answers questions that cover the entire spectrum of your business. And the 3 main questions you need to answer are: how is your business going to operate? How is your business going to grow and scale? And how is your business going to obtain a competitive advantage in today's market? So those are the 3 most burning questions that you need to know, that you need to keep right there at your forefront as you're operating your business every day. Okay, Irene says she has downloaded her workbook. Okay, awesome. Great job. So when we look at strategic approaches to a business, there's an approach we may have, there's an approach our competitors may have, and it's important to know where we are and where our competitors are, and where we are in relation to them and into the market. So the first thing is being a low-cost provider. Is that our strategic approach? Are we lower than everybody else? Are we the 1% brokerage? I'm not saying that's good or bad. That depends on your company's mission and vision, and if that is part of your mission and vision to be the low-cost provider, right? If it's not, maybe your mission and vision is to be the higher quality product or service provider in the market. So those are 2 different approaches. Another approach is to offer a diverse, wide selection of products or services. We're a one-stop shop. We do it all. Another strategic approach is to offer value-added services. So in other words, on top of this, we help you do this, we help you do this, we can help you through the whole supply chain. Does your company have technical superiority? Is that one of the things that you can brag about in your USP, your unique service proposition? Does your company have a reputation for providing exceptionally good value? In other words, the value you bring to the table is seen as more in relative to your price that you offer. Are you focused on a very narrow market niche, or do you have a wide marketplace expertise that you've developed? Have you chosen to jump first into a market, or are you going to sit back and wait till all the bugs are worked out and let your competitors make all the mistakes, and then you're last into the market with a better product? Or are you somewhere in between? Or are you going to introduce your company as having a better product or service? So these are various strategic approaches that your business can have, whether it's a real estate brokerage or you're offering ancillary services, bundle it all together. These are things to think about for your particular brokerage. Now, you're not going to do all of these, right? So which one of these do you have and which ones do your competition have? We have to remember that strategic planning is not something you do once, then you put it on the shelf and forget about it. It's something that you do on an ongoing, continual basis. It's a continual cycle. It's always a work in progress, and we have to be flexible because why? The market's changing, the industry is changing, and we're learning new things about ourselves. We're bringing on new strengths to the company. We're finding out about our weaknesses. So strategic plan is always a work in progress. We have to be proactive and always on the ball, looking at what we can improve with our company. Another thing a strategic plan does is it's going to gauge the temperature of the market and make sure that we're responding to that market. If there's unanticipated changes in the market, we need to be prepared for those. And we talked about that in the SWOT, right? About how we need to anticipate changes that may happen in the market and be ready and be prepared with a plan of action for that. Okay, and always being proactive. So again, it's a continual cycle. How do we start with a strategic plan, right? That's the important thing. A strategic plan starts with a foundation. And that foundation is your SWOT analysis. So please let me know if you are able to complete your SWOT analysis from module number 1. And if so, if you would be able to pull that back out again and use that today as a foundation for your strategic plan. Okay, and let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, the SWOT analysis, I'm going to put my little whiteboard on here so we can do some underlining and circling, my favorite part. Okay, so the SWOT matrix, you have advantages and drawbacks or disadvantages, and they're either internal or external. So the internal advantages you have, those are known as your strengths. Those are your core competencies that allow you to be competitive in the marketplace. Your drawbacks that you have internally, those are your weaknesses. And remember last week we said you could supplement your weaknesses 3 ways. Number 1, automate. Number 2, delegate. Number 3, outsource. The advantages that you have externally are opportunities. Those are things that happen in the marketplace that because we're in the right position, we can seize them, take advantage of those opportunities because we're prepared. And last but not least, those drawbacks that are external in the marketplace are known as threats. And those, we can't do anything about them, but we can do our best to neutralize the threats so they don't hurt our business. Any questions about the SWOT? Okay, no questions. We'll keep moving on. Let's talk for a moment about goal setting. We discussed this in module 2 towards the beginning when we talked about our operational management. And our goals need to follow the SMART concept. Now, some of us already know what that is, which is a goal needs to be specific. We can't say, I want to make more money. Woohoo! Okay, well, all of us want to make more money, but how much? By when? And then it needs to be achievable. It needs to be measurable. Measurable means, can we achieve it And if so, how do we get there from here? So for example, if our goal is to make, say, $100,000, seems to be a good number. And that's not gross, that's net. That's the bottom line, what we put in our pocket. So is that measurable? Can you look at your profit and loss or your income statement and say, okay, now we're at 20. What do we need to do to get to 50? What do we need to do to get from there to 100? Is it achievable, right? In other words, is it something that we can achieve based on where we're at now and what we're doing to work to get there? If we follow the path we're on now, will we get there? Is it realistic? Is it related to time? So that's the SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable or achievable, realistic or relevant, and time-based. Just take a moment to think about that for your business. Okay, we're going to have a little poll here, and our poll is about business plan. Okay, do you have your business plan in place? So let's talk about, well, first let's talk about strategic plan. That's first up on our agenda. So either A, yes, it's in place, or B is working on it, and C is going to be not yet. But that's why you're here today, so you're on the right track. All right, so you have your strategic plan in place, and if you don't, it's perfectly fine, because that's what we're here to learn today. So we just want to find out if anyone has a strategic plan in place yet. The answers are A, yes, my strategic plan's in place. B, I'm working on it. Or C, not yet. Okay, we have some answers coming in. Great job, everybody. And B, I'm working on it, seems to be the most popular answer. All right, we'll give you another couple of seconds to answer that. Some of you are probably wondering, what's the difference between a business plan and a strategic plan, right? So we'll go over that next. Okay, we're going to go ahead and in the poll, 100% everybody said you're working on your strategic plan. So great job. Awesome. The difference between a business plan and a strategic plan is that a business plan is short-term, whereas a strategic plan is long-term. A strategic plan is, here's where the business is going to be, and a business plan is, how do we execute it and get there? And I would always start with a strategic plan because it's a bigger picture. Once you have the strategic plan done, you know where you're going, then you can write your business plan, which says, okay, here's how we're going to get there. So let's talk about each of them just a little bit more. So a strategic plan is used to implement and manage the strategic direction of a business. It provides focus, it identifies the steps you need to meet your objectives, and it prioritizes your resources that you need to grow the business and increase your return on investment. And so the SWOT is going to come into play with the strategic plan. And it's normally a 3 to 5 year period. But as we said earlier, there's unexpected change in the industry. We have to look at trends, and then we have to adjust for that. So it might not be a 3-year plan, even though we put together a 3 or 5 year plan. We might have to go in and update it before then. As a matter of fact, it's guaranteed you'll have to update it before then. What are some of the trends in business? So I made a few notes of that at a business planning event yesterday. Here are some trends to look at in the real estate industry. Government and special social services, right? Big government is something that's huge. Big data, that's a trend. Co-sharing. Co-sharing is Airbnb or, sharing your car. Those are huge trends in our marketplace. Tech tools, automation. Is the real estate agent going to be replaced by technology? That's a question that remains to be seen. I don't think so. But again, it's something that we need to look at. Why is there a trend that way? And what do consumers think about it? DIY investors, that's a huge trend. Big banks, it seems like the big banks are only getting bigger and they're squeezing out the little guys and the medium guys. I don't even think there are any medium banks. There's just huge, giant big banks and little local banks. Another trend in our marketplace is transitional living and lifestyle. People are more transitional. They're not anchored at home. They are moving around. Does that affect our real estate business if we're focused primarily on sales? Yes, it does. Okay. All right. What I have on the screen here now is a sample strategic plan. And the sections that would be in the plan would be, first of all, of course, your cover page, then an executive summary, which is a brief description of the business, and that's pretty similar to a business plan. Your mission statement and vision statement. Again, your mission is the purpose of the business, what it does every day, how it functions. And the vision statement is the big picture, how we see ourselves in the future, what we stand for, lofty goals, right? And those would be also part of your business plan. Now, here's where it gets a little different because you're going to have goals and objectives in your strategic plan. So you're going to have 3 types: short-term, intermediate, and long-term, if you can. So short-term goals, those would be about 1 year, intermediate, 2 to 5 years, and then long-term is beyond the 5 years, which it's difficult to predict, but it's still important to go through the planning phase and start thinking about the future. And then, of course, what factors are necessary for success and how are each of those goals and objectives going to be accomplished. Section 5 is the SWOT analysis. Again, that's from week number 1. Strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So let's remember to go back and do that and then incorporate that in. Next is our operating and action plan. How are we going to accomplish our strategic goals? And then we have human capital. What do we need in terms of human resources, in terms of people, talent, leadership right now and in the future to grow to where we're projected to grow? And of that, are we training people to get there? Are we mentoring them? Are we recruiting the right people to put them on that track? Then we have our target market. Our target market is what's in the present, and then based on the trends, as I just read you some trends that I had brainstormed yesterday, what about the future potential? The marketing. What is our marketing now? What are our ideas in the future? The industry analysis. Where is the industry at now? And again, what do we predict it will be in the future? We don't know. We don't have a crystal ball, but we can look around and we can make some good educated guesses based on what we see happening in the marketplace. That's why it's so important to be not just have our head down, working in our business every day, coming to work, working in the business, but to take a step back, take off our, working hat, our salesperson hat, put on our entrepreneur hat, and look at the big picture and work on our business. The competitive analysis, we go through the history of competition, our current competition and potential competition. What are their strengths and weaknesses, and how do ours compare to theirs? What gives them an edge in the marketplace? How can we jump ahead of them? Or if we are ahead, what keeps us ahead? That's our edge in the marketplace. And lastly, the financial projections, which is our projected income statement, capital asset projections, and cash flow projections. So those are all of the items that would go into your strategic plan. Any questions? Be sure to let me know in the chat or send me a message if you have any questions about the strategic plan. All right, now we move into part 2, which is our business plan. Now we'll pause here for just a moment and we'll take another little poll here. And our poll is going to be, just like with the strategic plan, do you have a business plan in place? And we'll have same answers. We'll make it easy for you. So A is yes, in place, and B is going to be working on it, which is always a work in progress anyway. And then C will be no, not yet. Okay, publish. Okay, there we go. Poll is up and ready. So let us know if you have a business plan in place. You can go ahead and answer those as I'm going through and talking a little bit about the business plan. So business plan is used for a startup business in general. Once your business is up and going, you won't need a business plan so much as you will need the strategic plan. And a business plan is used to assess the viability of a business opportunity. Is it even worth pursuing? Do the numbers make sense? Is the market big enough? Will we make enough profit? Is the margin sufficient for us to be profitable? A business plan is often used to obtain funding or financing. It could be used to bring on partners at a high level, and it could be just used for yourself to start some metrics of accountability of where you're at now and where you'd like to be. A business plan is direct operations, that's what it deals with, and it provides structure, the initial structure for your company. And compared to a strategic plan, the duration is normally short term. It's 1 year, or medium term, 1 to 3 years, as compared to the strategic plan, which is a long range plan. Okay, anybody have questions? Okay, the poll is still up. Let us know if you have a business plan in place. A, yes, a business plan is in place. B, I'm working on it. Or C, no, not yet. Go ahead and take a moment to answer the poll. The business plan, some of the things that belong inside of that are the cover page, executive summary, table of contents. We saw all of that from the strategic plan. The business profile, financial information, and we have the growth plan, supporting documents, and the plan execution. Here's an example of a business plan. Now, this is not specific for real estate brokerage. This is just in general. It applies to all businesses. But that would be the cover page, the executive summary, the table of contents, and then we have a business profile. So here's where it differs from a strategic plan, in that a business plan, you're going to give a little history of the company and talk about the company itself, as compared to a strategic plan, which is more looking towards the future, right? So in your business profile, you'll have a description of the business, the product or services offered, history and form of the organization, an organizational chart with manager resumes, board of directors or board of advisors with resumes for each of those. You'll have your core competencies, and we talked about that in module number 1 with your strengths. Your core competencies are the strengths that you have that make your company competitive, give you an advantage in the marketplace. Also, you're going to have a section about your opportunities and challenges. Challenges are slightly different than threats, but what challenges will you face in the market? And then you'll have your marketing plan. You'll have done your market research, identified your customer base, have data about the industry, your pricing, forecasting your sales, market strategy, marketing budget. And then you'll have a competitive analysis, and that's talking about your competitors and projecting, looking at the future of the industry. What do you forecast for long term in the industry? And then you'll have your operational plan, which is personnel, location, legal environment, licensing, inventory, suppliers, credit policies, professional assistance. So these are all sort of the backbone of things that make your company keep chugging along, right? And that was last week in Module 2. And then you have your financial information. Again, some of this overlaps with the strategic plan, which is your projected income statements and your balance sheet, statement of cash flow, startup expenses, break-even expenses, capital assets, loan applications, debt servicing, and insurance. And then we'd have the growth plan, which is how we're going to scale the company. And then last, all of our supporting documents in the appendix, which is marketing materials, research studies, industry articles, loan applications, licenses, and permits. So those are all things that are important to include in your business plan, and that's what makes it a little different than your strategic plan. Okay. So if you have an existing business plan, as some of you said you already have a business plan or you're working on it, are the objectives in your business plan being met? If not, why not? And if they are being met, why are they being met? So either way, you want to know what's working, what's not working, and why, because only by understanding why can we improve it or continue improving it. Okay, let's talk a little bit about plan execution. All the plans in the world are fabulous. They're great, but if we don't put them into action, they mean nothing, right? So what is so important about taking action? Because it starts momentum. Momentum is the ball rolling in the right direction. If you have a car driving, right, this is all about driving profits. And if you have a car that's zooming down the road, all of a sudden you turn off the engine, what will happen to the car? It continues going. It continues going at almost the same speed for quite a while before eventually slowing down and coming to a stop. Why does the car keep going? Because you have momentum on your side. What's put in action stays in action. Isn't that one of the basic laws from Einstein? What's put in motion tends to stay in motion, and that's about momentum. So taking action is so important because it starts the car going as far as urgency, action, executing, and once that's in motion, it's easier to keep going because we have momentum on our side. So we have 5 steps as part of putting your plan into action, or some people call it executing the plan. I call it revving up the car and getting to the starting line. That's your operational review. You're checking everything. You're looking over what you have. Make sure that it's adequate. Next is your plan. That's a strategic plan. You put that together. You decide on how you're going to go through the course, what your winning strategy is to beat your competitors. And then you want to revise it because nothing is ever perfect the first time. And so it's important to continue going through there and revising your plan. And then once you revised it, plan again. After you've looked at tapes of your competitors, right? This is what we do in the in the competitive industry like sports or anything where you're going head to head with your competition. You want to look at them, see what they're doing, look at the marketplace. What do you expect? Is the racetrack going to be sunny? Is it going to be muddy? Are you going to have rain or wind? Are there going to be unexpected turns and twists in the course? And then you go back to the drawing board and plan again. And lastly is execute. Rev up your engine and go. When it's time to go, go. I hope everybody's learning something great, getting something out of this. Strategic planning for your business for growth and scaling. So please just go ahead and type into the chat. Let us know what you're learning today and how you're going to be able to apply this in your business. Okay. All right, let's talk about strategic alliances. What are strategic alliances? Now, we know as a brokerage owner, we can't do everything. It'd be nice to do everything, but really, we need to focus on the areas of our strengths, and we need to outsource the areas that maybe are our weaknesses, or we just don't have time to do it all, or we really just want to focus on our core competencies. So how we would do that is we would align ourselves with other companies who can provide additional services to our clients, and we can have strategic alliances. So what is a strategic alliance? Two or more businesses team up together. Each provides certain functions in order to reach those common goals. Okay, our alliances provide different products and services than their counterparts. Let's look at a real estate brokerage. A strategic alliance might be teaming up with a mortgage broker because they provide one piece that your customers need. You provide the other piece, and together you provide a more complete service. So again, you're not overlapping, but you're complementing each other. Why have an alliance? What's the purpose of that? How does it benefit you? Okay, so companies will generally develop a strategic alliance to achieve better results together than they could by operating independently. And that is synergy, right? So if you have, to use an example of horsepower, if you have one horse, it's 1 horsepower, 2 horses running together actually gives you more than just 2 horsepower because you have that synergy of joining together, and that creates momentum. Also, strategic alliances help you band together and reduce external threats. You can reach your objectives and build core competencies together because there are many, many big companies, especially for us indies. We're competing with huge, giant, million-dollar corporations, and by banding together, we can actually have a better, be better insulated from those giant competitors than we would individually one at a time. So there's a lot of good that can come from strategic alliances. But you might ask yourself, how do I find the right alliance partner? I'd like to have a strategic alliance, but I'm not sure how to go about that. The first step would be to assess your business and look at the areas of your strengths and weaknesses. Understand the criteria that's needed to get to the next level or to be able to offer a more holistic service to your clients. Identify potential candidates for alliance. I use an example of a mortgage broker. Another great example would be a home builder. Have you ever thought of partnering with a home builder? What can you bring to the table, and what can they bring to the table for you? That would be a perfect partnership if you can find the right alliance partner. Next is to sit down with them, hash over your needs and their needs. How can you provide a better service to your customer? Make it a win-win agreement. And we'll go over that on the next slide, negotiating the agreement, and then establish the governance How will the goals be met? What kind of accountability will there be? How will we each follow through with that? Okay. All right, so negotiating the agreement. Let's talk about that with a strategic partner. These are things that you would want to have written into your written agreement. Notice I use the word written, a written agreement. And of course, this will be a legal document, so you would want your attorney to draw this up for you. Or if your alliance partner already has an agreement drawn up and they bring it to you, you definitely want to make sure that your attorney has the opportunity to take a look at that and make sure that it would work for you, that it's to your benefit as well. And here are the things that would go in the agreement. The structure of the affiliate or the alliance agreement. Possible cash investments. Will two entities be putting cash in? And if so, how will they get the cash out? How will payouts be structured? What percentage will they get? If you're forming a separate business entity, who will own it? What's the percentage? What about the timing? Will there be an end to this? Revenue or profit sharing, I just touched on that. Proprietary rights. If two entities are coming together and they're creating a third entity, which entity will own the proprietary rights to the logo, the information, the database of customers? Who will contribute which resources? How about control issues? That could be a huge area. Risk-taking, liabilities assumed. Different partners might have different values and different expectations regarding taking risks and assuming liabilities. One company, because you as a brokerage owner, you might be more conservative, whereas the other company might be more, shall we say, aggressive, and there needs to be some meeting of the minds that you both agree on, because if there's not an alignment of those values, we know it's not going to end well, and you probably won't be friends at the end either, right? And then lastly, products, services, knowledge, etc., that each are going to contribute. You want to make sure that each party is contributing something equally. And let me just use an example for a real estate brokerage. Perhaps you have put together an organization where you're going to go to approach local employers of, say, 50 to 200 employees and ask to be their real estate servicer, official real estate servicer for their company. And that would include a mortgage lender, a title or escrow company, a home inspection company, a sales company, which is you, and property management. And you want to work closely with the company. So you form maybe a nonprofit or an LLC or something, and you all bring different things to the table. Well, maybe you as the brokerage owner, you're bringing to the table a lot of clients, but you noticed your mortgage lender partner is not stepping up and contributing clients as well. So that's something that you need to think of in advance. Perhaps you're doing all the work and other people are not. So that's something you need to negotiate and hash out up front so you can stay friends, through your agreement, through your affiliate or partnership agreement, and even afterwards. All right, our last point here is vertical integration. Now, last week we did talk about the supply chain, right? The supply chain is up and down. How can you vertically integrate by, instead of partnering with somebody, but bringing those services in-house? Vertical integration is a process that expands a company's activities up and down the production chain. Like we said, a mortgage lender, maybe instead of outsourcing that, you're going to integrate that into your company. And now your company is not just a real estate sales company, but it's a financing and a real estate sales company, and you have a mortgage lender in-house. Vertical integration means you have suppliers at one end and customers at the other end, right? That's why it's the chain. And you have to have the resources present or be available for that. Now, another example of that might be, home inspection and all these services that people need during the escrow and closing process. What about once they get in their house? Once they're homeowners, do they need additional services? Oh yeah, of course they do, right? They need maintenance on their house. They need asset protection, perhaps a family living trust or a will. So these are all things, resources that they need, and are these services you can either bring in-house or that you can outsource or have some type of affiliate or alliance arrangement in order to serve your customers holistically and to make sure that your company is diversified, that you're not just focused on a narrow niche. Now, if you'd like to consult with us and find out about how your business can grow to this level, or just to dig deeper, put a strategic plan together, those are all things we can help you with. We offer private company consultations. Of course, it's all confidential. We'll provide you with recommendations for your company and a plan of action that you can just execute, put into place, start working on, and moving towards those goals. So please let us know if you're interested. We'd be happy to help you move your company along these lines. What direction is your company going in? At the beginning, we said your direction determines your destination. So the path that you take now will depend on where you end up in the future. Now, there's an excellent book that I do recommend. It's called Strategic Planning, A Pragmatic Guide, and I'll show you a couple of samples from that in just a minute. But part of the basic synopsis of this book is about making sure that your strategic plan is viable. In other words, is it able to be executed? We talked about that at the beginning, the SMART goals. Is it realistic? Is it achievable? And there are basically 3 tenets that would lead to the plan being viable. So the first is growth. The second is profitability. And the third is repeatability. So is it profitable? Can it grow? And then once you grow, can you repeat it over and over again to continue growing? And that depends on the execution capacity, which is one of the constraints that will stop you from moving forward. Is if you're not able to execute, if you don't have the manpower or the time to be able to put it in action. Financial capacity is another constraint. In other words, if you don't have the funding or the capital or the resources to be able to move forward. And the last one is the market opportunity. If the market is not there and available within opportunity, that can hold you back as well. So these are things that your company would check for as part of your strategic plan. Now, in this book, there's a couple diagrams here. There's more in the book, but here is a couple that I really like that stood out, which is your business model assessment. Now, you can see all of this is in a little circle or sort of a donut shape, I guess you could call it, with the 3 stages. The stages, number 1, analysis, number 2, planning and decisions, and number 3, execution. So as part of your analysis, you have your common fact base and analysis, and then you see the area over here in green. Let me turn on my little screen sharing here. And you see your area in green right here, which is the business model assessment. Next, you have your planning and decisions, right? That's step 2. And that's going to be your vision and mission alignment, and your strategies, goals, imperatives, strategic initiatives. That's all in the planning and decision. And lastly, the most important part is your execution, which we see over here in this diagram. And those are your strategic initiatives portfolio of here's what we're going to do first, right? A, B, here's what we're going to do second, and here's when. Here's what we're going to do third. Here's how we're going to measure it and ensure that each of the items we set out to do that we will do, and that we will meet our goal for that. So this is an excellent book. I do recommend it. As a matter of fact, I think I have more information about it. Oh, and in just a minute coming up, okay? So we have our action plan. What is your action plan to get the success ahead? Our action plan for today is 3 things: strategic plan, business plan, and then executing those plans. Now, if your business is just starting up, you might want to start with a business plan to get a handle on the business. But otherwise, you'd start with a strategic plan, which is long range, and then you can, from there, pull out a business plan as needed for funding purposes and things like that. So now it's time for you to do your company analysis. What is going to get you to the finish line quicker? In your handout today, I think it's still up. Let me go back to that. Your file sharing a handout called 3. As you look at that today, you're going to see a self-analysis for your company. Let me go to my sample here. And so those are your internal questions to consider. It starts on page 4. So you're going to be reviewing your basic strategy questions, reviewing your company's current strategic approach, and measuring your goals, and deciding if you need a business plan, and preparing your strategic plan. Is it being executed properly? Review alliances, vertical integration, and implementing on those ideas. So that's always part of the self-assessment that goes all the way to page 7. So really, really great stuff here. Be sure to take the time and work on this week. Work on your business. Take some time from working in your business to work on your business on the activity worksheet for today. So what is our goal? Accelerate, push the needle, move forward, rev up. Let's give it some gas. Let's keep going forward, and let's make sure that your company is out there in front of the competitors so you can win. Get through that finish line. Today's session was about strategic planning, business planning, executing that plan, strategic alliances, and vertical integration, which are all parts of those plans. In conclusion, strategic plans can drive your company to success. They can actually make or break your company by having none in place, right? Any questions? Be sure to let me know if you have any questions. I'll be happy to answer them today. Reading or listening. Here are 2 books for you. We just went over Strategic Planning, a Pragmatic Guide, but we have a second book for you called Strategic Planning, as simple as ABC. And I don't think these are actually on the handout, so I apologize for that. But let's see, I do have some links for you. So I'm going to go ahead and put the links to Amazon, my favorite book shopping place. Okay, so there you go. I went ahead and put that into the notes or the chat bar, strategic planning, and the link to that, and then the other strategic planning book and the link to that. Now, if you're like me, you're really busy and you don't always have time to read a book, go ahead and get the Audible version. Listen in the car as you drive. You're always in the car, out showing property, driving to appointments, things like that, right? So make good use of your time, especially if you have a lot of traffic there. Everybody doing good? All right. Our MasterClass for brokerage owners, the 12 essentials that you need to scale your company and build your brokerage empire. 12 courses, online access, activity worksheets, bonus content, resource. Don't just get the course, But once you get it, make time every week. If you set aside just 2 hours a week to work on your business, you'll be so much farther ahead instead of just working in your business. So stay tuned next time for our next module, which is section number 4. Okay, module number 4. Module number 4, accounting and banking. So important, critical parts of our business. Please come back again. Join us for the next module. You're going to learn a lot to rev up your business, take your company to the next level, get that engine going, execute, and win across the finish line. Thank you, brokers, for joining us here today. We hope you have a great day, a wonderful, prosperous, profitable day, and that you're able to take all of this back to your company, work on it, execute your plan, and move your company forward. Not just moving the needle, right? Because moving means it could go either way, but pushing the needle, pushing it forward, reaching for success. Thank you, everybody, for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next module. I'm signing off, Regina Brown, MBA Broker Consultants. We'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.